every member of my team has been built into a process in some way now to where we're all pulling on that side of the rope. So I just want to say from the outset really clearly that I did not do that anywhere close to alone. Many hands touched this, and many hands were involved with making this really good. I have a creative strategist who's also really administrative and detail oriented around the process side of things. She is awesome at this. She's also done a lot of the briefing for clients. I have a media buying manager, a digital media manager who has also been a really big part of that. Again, a mix of sort of doing some ad briefing himself with some media buying type things. So people, it's a small enough team. There's 3 of us in the US. And now there are 6 of us in the Philippines. And there's a small enough team total to where people are wearing a number of hats. You've heard me say I'm not trying to grow the agency service very much, like in terms of adding more clients over time. I'm really primarily trying to do as great of a job as I possibly can for my clients. And that means constantly that team of the 3 of us in the US plus my team in the Philippines, which includes a couple of graphic designers, a couple of video editors, an ad builder, sort of an entry level media buying job as well, with hopefully some growth opportunities there also, and a project manager, sort of a lead who's directing traffic on a lot of that stuff, all built in the Philippines as well. So that is what the team is outputting. I should say about those ads. Well, let me say a little bit more about the team first, so you have a better sense of what's going on. So all 3 of our people of our people in the US are involved with the briefing process for different clients, but primarily it is my other 2 team members who are doing a lot of the briefing with input from me, helping shape direction and process and ideas and formats and those kinds of things. They are both very talented people who are really engaged with the process and who have done a great job getting better and better all the time and sort of building their workflow into my thinking. They are very helpful for me. I'm not a great process builder, and so they've been incredibly helpful to me in taking ideas that I have and turning them into actionable things that really help clients. In the Philippine side, that project manager in particular is really crucial. She is a huge part of making sure that things are getting ads are getting feedback early on before they even make it to us, that she's keeping the quality level high. She is just so awesome, and I'm incredibly thankful for her. And then, as I said, I've got sort of individual contributors along the way. I initially had hired the media buying manager on my team. He was doing the ad building initially. That was sort of his entry point about a year and a half ago now, maybe about a year ago, his entry point into digital marketing. And so for him, that sort of just the manual work of building ads, that was sort of his step into the digital marketing world. Well, over time, his role has changed and has been reshaped. And because of that, we were able to add a resource in the Philippines to do this sort of report building and ad buying that freed up more time back in the US, which also produced the ability to generate more ads, because now I had somebody to build the ads, which was a bottleneck before, as well as people to brief the ads. And that all of those different things, all those different elements of this have all, in my view, been parts of these little bits over time, one bit after another. At some point, maybe I'll do a full breakdown of how we got here, but they've all been a really important part of generating a process that has been able to scale my output for my clients. And that is the first thing I want to note about all of this. That process has required a huge amount of effort over time. Like, we did not get there overnight. And I believe there's a lot farther for us to go. So let me tell you a little bit more about the ads themselves so you can better understand what 3,500 ads or whatever actually amounts to. So like I said, about 2/3 of those ads are still images. Now, the way we end up doing still images, and I'm going to link to an episode I did recently where I talked about the parts of the ad creative process that I believe right now are more expensive versus the parts that are less expensive in this process. So it's certainly not 3,500 individually different ideas, right? Instead, there's a mix of concepts and then variations on those concepts. And that distinction is really key. So for at the still image level, we're now at a point where almost every time we deliver stills, there's between 100 and 200 actual different images that get delivered, and sometimes up to like 300. And that's because what we're doing is we're taking an ad angle that we want to work with, and we're looking at the available imagery that we have, and in terms of raw assets and then also design capabilities. And we're trying to figure out as best as possible, how do we combine up headlines and body copy on images with various approaches to the actual design of the image or the photography or whatever it is, right? So basically, you're taking copy and image and combining them a lot of different ways. And one of the crucial ideas for me is that when you're in the midst of a concept, let's say you're doing a comparison ad and you want to compare product A with a competitor, all right? Well, there's actually a lot of different ways to do that, both from a design and copy perspective. And what we end up doing a lot of is we say, don't choose which way you think will work. Do the things that you think will work. But when you're in that ad creative process and you're going, how do I decide which ad copy to use? How do I decide which headline to use? Don't decide. Just make both. Okay. And that ends up creating, or same thing with imagery, right? If you're making a design decision at the image level and you're like, I don't know which one of these I prefer, if I want to compare it in this table with these colors, or if I want to try and, use product imagery versus not, whatever. There's all these little decisions that happen in that process. What I'm saying to the team in general is, instead of deciding, just make both, because by the time that you have the idea in your head, it really isn't very much more work to create another variation. And so there are these packages at times of various edges. I guess there are times when it's less than 100. And then there's also format changes, a 1x1 version versus a 9x16. But each of these different units creates expanded output. And there are definitely times when variation A drastically, in fact, I would say almost every time, variation A or B or C drastically outperforms variation D or E or F of a certain ad. And it is really hard to predict which one of those is going to work. So rather than predict, we just make both and build our process so that we can get both into the ad account and let Metascale the winner. And I'm going to talk more about the media buying side of this in a second. But if you get the media buying side tied in to the ad creative side, you have a really good ability. If those two things are really aligned strategically, you have this way of thinking about ad production that goes right into the way of doing ad distribution, and the whole thing works together really, really well. This is why it's really crucial that you understand what you're trying to accomplish at the ad distribution side, which is normally what people call media buying. If you know what you're trying to do there, and if you know what the way you're going to test this creative is there, you are going to have a much better opportunity to think about what kind of ads you create in the creative process. So that all is like aligned in one part of the process. Now, at the video level, we have way less variations per individual concept, which is why there's 1,000 video ads as opposed to 2,000 still image ads. And that's because still image duplication is way faster than video duplication, right? We're making one core concept of a video. A lot of these videos, by the way, are like 3+ minutes. Some of them are getting to be 5+ minutes long. So it's not only a lot of videos, but some of these are pretty long videos. Not all of them, but some of them are pretty long videos because we like the explainer format so much, and we find that works really well.